Have you ever reached a point where you realized you weren't just the second choice, but that you weren't even in the running? Picture this. It's your 21st birthday, a milestone that everyone in your family has been talking about for months, and you're standing in the driveway watching your younger sister scream with joy as she's handed the keys to a brand new white BMW wrapped in a massive red silk bow. Then your father turns to you, pats his pockets, and hands you two crumpled $1 bills with a straight face, telling you to go buy yourself a soda because times are tough. Was I wrong for what I did next? I need you to listen to how this unfolded and tell me if you would have stayed, or if you would have done exactly what I did, which was packing my entire life into 3 suitcases and vanishing into the night without a single word. Growing up in my house was always a game of spot the favorite, though it wasn't a very hard game to play. My sister, Chloe, is 2 years younger than me, and from the moment she was born, she was the golden child. I don't say that with bitterness, well, maybe a little, but it was an objective fact. If Chloe wanted ballet lessons, she got the best private tutors in the city. If I wanted to join a coding camp, I was told to find a free tutorial online because we had to budget for the family. My parents, David and Elena, always framed it as Chloe being more sensitive or needing more encouragement, while I was the strong, independent one who could handle anything. I didn't realize until I was much older that being labeled as strong by your parents is often just a convenient excuse for them to neglect your needs while they pour every ounce of their resources into your sibling. I worked 2 jobs throughout high school just to save up for a beat-up sedan that eventually died on the highway, while Chloe was driven to school every day in my mom's luxury SUV. I didn't complain because I truly believed that if I just worked hard enough and stayed out of trouble, they would eventually see my value. I graduated college with honors, worked 40 hours a week while studying, and never asked them for a dime in tuition because they said they were saving for the future. I assumed that future included me, but boy, was I wrong. The lead up to my 21st birthday was filled with hints. My mom kept talking about a huge surprise and how this year everything changes. I'm not a materialistic person, but after years of being the afterthought, I allowed myself to hope. I thought maybe they had noticed how hard I'd been struggling to get to my new job without a car. I thought maybe the future they were saving for was finally here. My birthday falls just 2 weeks after Chloe's 19th, so we usually have a joint celebration, which I always hated, but this year felt different. The morning of the party, the energy in the house was electric. My parents were whispering, Chloe was smirking at me like she knew a secret I didn't, and there was a giant catering tent being set up in the backyard. I spent the morning helping my mom set out the hors d'oeuvres and moving furniture, thinking that all this effort was partially for me. When the guests arrived, it was mostly my parents' friends and Chloe's classmates. I had 3 friends there who looked as uncomfortable as I felt. Then came the big reveal. My dad stood on the patio, clinking a glass, and announced that they wanted to reward hard work and dedication. My heart actually sped up. I thought, this is it. They finally see me. He led the entire crowd to the front driveway where a car carrier was parked. They unloaded that BMW, and the sun hit the paint so perfectly it was blinding. Chloe started crying before the tires even touched the pavement. My dad grabbed her hand, put the keys in it, and gave a speech about how she was their special girl, and how she deserved the world for getting a B average in her first semester of community college. I stood there, frozen, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I thought maybe there was a second, humbler car behind it, or maybe a check, or even just a public acknowledgement of my graduation and my new job. The crowd cheered, the photos were taken, and the party moved back to the yard. I stayed in the driveway, feeling like an extra in someone else's movie. About 10 minutes later, my dad came back out to get more ice from the garage. He saw me standing there and stopped. He looked at me, reached into his pocket, and pulled out $2. He held them out and said, "I didn't have time to get to the ATM, but here's for a celebratory drink later. Don't spend it all in one place, Tiger." He laughed, patted my shoulder, and walked away. $2. I looked at the money, then at the BMW, then at the house where my mother was currently toasting to Chloe's bright future. I didn't cry. Something inside me just clicked. It was the sound of a door locking forever. I realized then that I wasn't a family member. I was a convenience. I was the person who helped clean up after the parties for the child they actually loved. So that is the situation I found myself in on what was supposed to be my big day. I had spent years being the reliable one, the strong one, only to be dismissed with $2 while my sister was handed a luxury lifestyle on a silver platter. I realized I had two choices. I could go back inside, swallow my pride, and continue living in their shadow, or I could change my life right then and there. Before I tell you about the 2 a.m. decision that changed everything and the fallout that followed, I want you to pause. Think about every time you've been overlooked or undervalued. What would you have done? Would you have caused a scene at the party? Or would you have done what I did? Let me know in the comments right now, because I really need to know if I'm the only one who thinks this was the breaking point. I went back into the house, but I didn't go to the party. I went straight to my room. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at the $2 on my nightstand. The disrespect wasn't just in the amount. It was the casual way he dismissed 21 years of my life. I waited until the music died down, until the last guest left, and until I heard the muffled sounds of my parents and Chloe laughing downstairs about how successful the day was. I heard them go to their rooms around midnight. I sat in the dark until 1:30 a.m., listening to the house settle. Then I moved. I had been saving my own money from my jobs for a year, intending to use it for a down payment on a small apartment closer to my work. I had enough for a deposit and a few months of rent. I had already been scouted by a firm in a city 3 states away, and I had a remote start date for the following Monday. I hadn't told my parents because I wanted it to be a surprise. A look what I did on my own moment. Now, I realized they didn't care about my moments. I packed 3 suitcases. I took only what was mine, the clothes I bought, the laptop I paid for, and the documents I'd kept in a fireproof box. I didn't take a single thing they had given me over the years, which, frankly, wasn't much. I left the $2 on my pillow along with a note that simply said, "Thanks for the soda. Hope the BMW was worth the price of a son." At exactly 2:00 a.m., I lugged my bags down the stairs, being careful to avoid the creaky 3rd step. I walked out the front door, past the BMW sitting in the driveway like a monument to my irrelevance, and called an Uber to the airport. While sitting in the back of that car, watching my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror, I pulled out my phone. I went into my contacts. I blocked my mom. I blocked my dad. I blocked Chloe. I blocked my aunts, uncles, and every family friend who had cheered in that driveway. I deleted my social media profiles and started fresh. By the time my plane landed in my new city, I was a ghost to them. The first few weeks were hard, but they were the most peaceful weeks of my life. I rented a tiny studio apartment that smelled like old wood and floor wax, but it was mine. I started my new job and excelled, but about a month in, the peace was interrupted. I had forgotten to block one cousin on LinkedIn, of all places. She sent me a frantic message saying my parents were distraught, and that my mom had been hospitalized for stress. I unblocked my mom's number for just 1 minute to see if there were voicemails. There were dozens. They weren't apologies, they were demands. How could you do this to us? You ruined Chloe's celebration. We have been so humiliated explaining to people why you're gone. Not one message asked if I was okay. Not one message mentioned the $2. My dad's last message was the kicker. He told me I was being dramatic, and that I needed to come home and apologize for the emotional trauma I caused my mother. I realized then that they would never get it. To them, the BMW was a gift for a good child, and my reaction was the tantrum of a bad one. They couldn't see the years of neglect that built the wall I finally put up. I didn't respond. I reblocked the numbers and the cousin. A few months later, I heard through the grapevine that Chloe had totaled the BMW within 3 months and was demanding a new one. My parents, apparently, were struggling financially because they had overextended themselves to buy that car and the party. Thinking I would always be there to help with the bills or take care of the house, they had even planned on me moving into the basement to pay them modest rent, to help cover Chloe's insurance. That was their plan for my 21st year, to have me subsidize the lifestyle of the sister they actually liked. Leaving wasn't just about a car or $2. It was about the realization that if you don't set a price on your own worth, people will give you the change they find in their pockets. I've been gone for 2 years now. I've had a promotion, I have a girlfriend who actually listens to me, and I'm buying my own car next month. A modest one, but paid for in full by me. I haven't spoken to them since that night at 2 a.m., and I don't plan to. Sometimes the only way to win a game is to stop playing it entirely. My parents lost a son, and I gained a life. It was a fair trade. I hope this story serves as a reminder to anyone out there who feels like they're the reliable one being taken for granted. You don't owe your happiness to people who treat you like an option. If you've ever had to walk away from a toxic situation to find your own peace, know that you're not alone, and it's never too late to start over. If you think I did the right thing by leaving and blocking them, or if you think I should have stayed to fight for my place, let's talk about it. Like this video if you were on my side and think $2 was the ultimate insult. Subscribe for more stories about people standing up for themselves and finding their own path. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll be reading them. I'll see you all in the next story.